Never save money. That's what my grandfather told me on his deathbed. Sounds crazy, right? But when you hear what happened to him, you'll understand why this might be the most important financial advice you ever receive. In a small town in rural Kentucky, there was a man everyone called Old Jack the Dreamer. Jack didn't work. He spent his days sitting on a worn-out recliner on his front porch, staring at the horizon, talking about plans that never materialized. "One day, I'm going to open my own hardware store," he'd say, rocking back and forth. "One day, I'll buy property and start a cattle ranch, make money while I sleep." That day never came. At first, neighbors laughed. Then the laughter turned to pity. His wife, Martha, would shake her head and say, "Jack, dreams don't pay the bills. Hard work does." He'd shrug and reply, "Someday, honey. Someday, I'll figure it out." Years dragged on. Life got harder. One cold November night, his 8-year-old grandson, Tommy barefoot, wearing clothes 2 sizes too small, whispered, "Grandpa, is there any food?" Martha opened the cupboard. Empty. Jack stared at the floor, his throat tight with shame. Dreams couldn't feed a child. Ideas couldn't fill an empty stomach. That night he didn't sleep. The next morning, swallowing his pride, Jack went to work as a day laborer at Henderson's farm. The work was brutal. The summer sun scorched his skin. His back ached. His hands blistered and bled. Sweat stung his eyes as he hauled hay bales under the merciless heat. Standing in the middle of that field, he whispered to himself, "This feels like a prison." Every night, he came home exhausted and silent. Martha would serve beans and cornbread. Never more than that. Little Tommy would hug him tight and ask, "What did they pay you today, Grandpa?" Jack would look at the crumpled bills in his calloused hand. "Not much, buddy, but it's something." But the money never stayed. Medical bills took it. Groceries took it. Rent took it. A few dollars remained on the kitchen table after each paycheck. Week after week, the cycle continued. The roof still leaked. Hunger never left. One afternoon at Miller's General Store, Jack overheard some farmers talking. "The secret is saving, Bill. You gotta save every penny. That's how you stay safe." Those words echoed in Jack's mind. That night, he found an old mason jar and hid it under the bed. Each week, after buying only the bare necessities, he dropped coins and bills inside. The clinking sound made him smile. It felt like hope. One day, Tommy discovered the jar. "What's this, Grandpa?" Jack smiled proudly. "That, son, is our future." But saving came at a cost. Jack stopped buying new work boots, even when his solace wore through. Food portions got smaller. Plates were never full. One evening, Martha couldn't hold back anymore. "What good is saving if we're starving?" Jack didn't look up. "One day you'll understand." Months passed. The jar filled. To Jack, it looked like security. One Saturday morning, they walked to the farmer's market. Jack placed his savings on the vendor's table. Lied like 3 50-pound bags of chicken feed and corn. The vendor counted the money and shook his head. "Sir, prices have gone up. Inflation. This'll get you 1 bag, maybe 1.5. Jack froze. "Dollar doesn't go as far as it used to," the vendor said matter-of-factly. Walking home, that jar felt heavier than ever. That night, Jack dumped the money on the kitchen table and counted it over and over. The number never changed. Tommy asked quietly, "So, what's the point of saving, Grandpa?" Jack had no answer. Days grew darker. Jack grew weaker. Malnutrition was setting in. Sometimes he felt there was no way out. One morning, sitting on his porch, he watched his neighbors walk by. Mrs. Patterson carried a basket of fresh eggs. Mr. Rodriguez had bottles of milk. They walked with confidence. No fear in their eyes. Then he remembered Tommy's words from months ago. What if we bought chickens instead? This time, he listened. Jack took the last of his savings and bought 6 scrawny chickens from a farm auction. When he released them in the backyard, Tommy laughed and chased them around. "Look, Grandpa, we've got our own egg factory." At first, they found 1 or 2 eggs daily. They ate some, sold some at the local diner. With that money, they bought another chicken. Jack kept a small notebook, tracking every egg. Each one mattered. Soon, the backyard was alive with clucking. Neighbors started coming by to buy fresh eggs. For the first time in years, the work felt meaningful. One warm afternoon, Jack held an egg up to the sunlight and said to Tommy, "You see this? This is worth more than that jar of cash ever was. This feeds us. This grows. This doesn't lose value to inflation." Tommy hugged him tight. "So you're not a dreamer anymore, Grandpa?" Jack's eyes welled up. "No, son, I finally learned the truth." The jar stayed forgotten under the bed, collecting dust. Whenever neighbors talked about saving money, Jack would point to his chickens and say, "Saving money is like holding water in your hands. It always slips away. You gotta make it work for you, even if you start small." And that's how the man once called Old Jack the Dreamer learned the greatest financial truth of his life. Never just save money, make it grow. Because wealth isn't built by hoarding dollars in a jar. It's built by putting those dollars to work, whether it's chickens, investments, education, or a business. Money sitting still is money dying. So ask yourself, what are you doing with yours?